Greetings, and welcome to The Thirsty Mage, the podcast that is vehemently anti-Korok abuse. I'm your host, Paige Chamberlain, and today we're talking our initial thoughts on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Joining me is the man who would have used the duplication glitch if he knew about it on time, Casey Gibson.
Hello. Yes, it feels... Initially, at first, I thought Nintendo just duplicated Breath of the Wild and gave us more. But as I continue to play, I'm continuing to enjoy it more and more.
Do you think the world is a good sandwich?
Maybe.
The 3 tiers. Yeah, so we've both played not a lot of it, but not too little. I think I'm sitting at about 30 hours based on the rough. I don't have the parental controls on, so I don't know the exact time. I've just got what the Switch vague time is. But
the 15 or more hours or whatever. It's so stupid. I don't know why they didn't just put the obviously they've got the capability to do
the
that.
3DS was down to the minute,
That was one of my favorite things on the 3DS, going back and checking the play log and seeing which games I played the most and the longest average play. My Luigi's Mansion, it was the only game I played, I guess, at the time. So it was I never turned it off. So it's one play session for 15 hours.
I know.
It skewed my whole
my
thing
sisters wrong. I think she wouldn't close games, so the playtime on some things was definitely not accurate at all. And my Switch playtime isn't accurate either, because if you've transferred your Switches, or one time I didn't transfer, I had to just download the saves or whatever. Then it's not the same anymore. So whatever, I don't know what my most played game is anymore. Sometimes you put it in and you play it for a bit, and then eventually it'll remember. So I don't really get how that. It's just weird.
Nintendo and online, it usually never makes sense.
No. Thankfully, this is a single player game.
Yes.
Although,
and even so, I've already been to some points where you could tell it's pushing the Switch to its limits.
Yeah,
but not too bad.
I was interested in that multiplayer Breath of the Wild mod before the Nintendo Ninjas got to it. Because that is, I don't know why people thought it would be in this. I guess just because they showed you stuff where you're working with NPCs, but I'm they're not. It's if it did, it wouldn't work. It'd be garbage. But
definitely. Yeah,
I know it would be really fun because of all the weird stuff, but it just wouldn't work. So.
Yeah, it definitely would be cool. Yeah, if you could just drop into almost a sandbox, just go do whatever you want. But yeah, it seems I saw somewhere that they said, I guess the game was pretty much done a year ago, and the last year has just been polished. So I can't imagine there's already enough probably wacky, crazy interactions with all the weird physics stuff to introduce another person manipulating all of those physics. Yeah, I could see that getting a little crazy, a little cray-cray.
But we'll just have to wait for another 2D multiplayer Zelda game, I guess.
Now, with Tears of the Kingdom here, and in my head and almost out loud all the time, I go to say Breath of the Wild 2 still.
Yeah, it took me ages to stop. But we only got the name I don't know.
Less than a year ago, right?
Yeah, less than a year anyway. Yeah.
But what were your hype levels going into it? Because for me, it's one of those things I love Breath of the Wild, but for me, open world games generally aren't my favorite thing ever. So it was one of those, I knew I'm going to play it. I knew I'm going to enjoy it. But really, yeah, the build up to it was almost pretty non-existent. But now that I've gotten into it, I'm enjoying it. But where were you sitting at before it actually released?
Yeah, I was definitely hyped for it. I think you're talking about, I don't really play many other open worlds, and it's funny seeing things on Twitter where people are I didn't really like Breath of the Wild, but I thought I'd try this, and I still don't like it. Sad face.
Yeah.
One person was complaining about the lack of direction, and I'm what? The game tells you, go here, go there, and then one person shows you, you got a main quest of, a few points. How is that not enough direction?
Yeah, they definitely...
There are roads. Just go on a road and you'll see things on the road. Just follow the pathway. But yeah, I definitely was hyped for it. But definitely that trailer, the final trailer they did, that was that woo with everything.
Yeah, that was...
And then the reviews came out, and then I sort of watched a bit, and then I was like, oh, that's I don't want to like it's too. I'm not one of those people who just I usually want to see like as much as I can about the game, but then with this game I was like, oh, that's too much. Like I sort of saw some of the things I wanted based on what was in the trailer, but like that's it. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, not worried about spoils, but then there's some things where I'm trying to take my own time with this game, but I also still using the internet, and then I'm seeing like in a video talking about one of the currencies or whatever, they showed a bit of a fight that I ended up finding like that day myself, and it's just like it would have been a lot cooler if I'd seen that myself personally.
Yeah, I didn't get spoiled on it.
Especially like, I mean, we might talk about some of the enemies, but like there's one enemy that I'm wanting to my husband to play because I want him to come across
See his
uh,
reaction.
I think they called it Evermeans or something. You know what?
I'm so bad with names. So bad.
Because yeah, when I landed on the ground, I saw a bokoblin by itself, and I thought, easy pickings.
Mm.
And then the trees popped out of the ground.
Oh, I remember those. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
I've ran into some stealth Lizalfos,
they're
right?
not usually that sneaky. I think Doctor Rocks are more sneaky because there's now like there's rocks everywhere, and because the rocks used to be for Koroks basically, or Octor, not much, right? And now they're everywhere because you use them in the fusion system, which we'll probably get into soon. So I keep picking up rocks and being like, oh, right.
Yeah, nothing here.
Yeah,
Nothing here.
nothing there. The enemy variety is something I'm really happy about when I was seeing all these, like, just even though you don't really fight the bibble frogs much, but I was like, oh, the bibble frogs, the horriblins, the trees. Like,
yeah, the trees.
I was
Yeah,
just
no,
like,
I think the diversity with that has been really good. How do you feel about the combat in general? I mean, and I guess like you said, just for listeners though, we're not going to go too spoilery. Nothing story wise, mostly just broad strokes. And
yeah,
I feel like that's a lot of sort of this kind of Zelda game is sort of just
gameplay.
like there are definitely particular moments that shine. And we could talk a little bit about the whole the actual Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like how
Mm.
I really like how those play out. But yeah, I mean, right, with combat in general, I find myself so far. So yeah, we talked about probably just shy of 20ish hours. I've done a handful of shrines. I've done one of the temples and stuff, and focus right now, right? You get to for every shrine, it's sort of like Breath of the Wild, right? You get your light, and then when you get 4 of them, you could trade it in for either a stamina or health heart. And pretty much I haven't done hearts at all. I've just done all stamina. So some of the encounters I run in there, and if I get hit and I either die in one shot or I'm like all of my hearts but like half heart's gone, sometimes like, well, I'm just not gonna go. I'll come back to that at another point in time. But yeah, so far I haven't been completely avoiding combat, but I haven't been like going out and searching as much as I've just been exploring.
There was actually funny because there's the tower that's like a fortress that was in the preview footage where you got to storm the tower, no, the fortress to get to the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out you don't need to fight them at all because I did the rocket shield trick and landed in front of the door of the tower and they didn't notice me, and like I thought it would be locked or something. Like I thought there would be like a something that I had to fight these guys and I didn't, so I was just like, okay.
Nice. Yeah.
That's pretty much how I played it. I took my very sweet time on that big tutorial. So to me, I wasn't like, oh, it's so long because I was literally looking for everything, and like, hopefully, I found everything there is there. Because I know some people complaining about not finding their clothes and things, but I went everywhere. Got confused because there's like that one boss fight there, and then I forget that you got to use your powers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget in the
Yeah.
beginning, like
Yeah, like,
especially the ascend power, right? Like,
yeah.
why is there no ladder out of here?
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah, but then with I've only just started calling Ultra Hand. I keep calling it God Hand for some reason.
It sounds cooler as God Hand.
Yeah, but no, it's not that.
It's
But
more
I
of a
def
dead hand, though. Really,
plus I knew that in the tutorial like islandy bit there probably wasn't going to be any blood moons, so I was definitely like killing everything and like getting the resources. Combat
You nuked
wise,
the entire first area of every enemy possible.
mm, combat wise, it's pretty much like the same as the first game, but with the you've got to I miss my bombs, and not
Yeah,
just for
yeah,
combat, for like general like because you'd use your bombs for trees, you'd use your bombs for mining spots. You didn't.
blowing up
Now
rocks. Yep.
I have to use 2 weapon slots, dedicated to having an axe and a hammer. So
Hmm. Yeah, you know what the good thing is, or at least I've realized, it feels like anytime there are, usually my biggest thing I'm worried about is if I find a path, right, or like a bunch of boulders that are breakable, but I don't have something to break it. But I feel like usually they'll have a rock and even like a torch or like a
yeah,
stick, right, will make some sort of weapon strong enough to break the rock. What I really like is when you kill the bogoblins and you get their arms, right, and it does like 20 damage,
yeah,
but they break. But if you fuse those, like I fuse those with one of the horns or something, and it made like a sweet little like one hander that did like 26 damage, and it
um,
still didn't have like crazy durability, but it was way better than just the arm alone, that would break in like 3
yeah, and
hits.
plus the arm looks like it's holding something, so it's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, the arm is holding
um,
an arm which is holding, yeah, a rock.
co-
um
most
but
of my
yeah, super fun.
fights, I'm using the bow, and I'm doing a lot of archery,
Honestly,
and I'm
that
running.
feels
I
overpowered.
really miss just having dedicated arrows because you can't just. You have to fuse individual things every time. You can't just have a stock of water arrows or
How
bomb.
do you fuse an arrow? Honestly, I always just either buy them or just pick them up from
When you
killing people.
shoot, you like press up or down or something, and then you can sort through the inventory.
Oh, sorry. I thought you. Sorry, I thought you were talking about making arrows from
No,
like
you
through
can't.
other. Okay,
That's my
gotcha,
complaint. Is like
gotcha.
in
Okay.
Breath of the Wild, you had what shock, ice, fire, and bomb arrows. So you just had like set. And this, it's every single time you shoot, you have to fuse
Gotcha. Yep.
if you want to fuse, which is very annoying.
That's where most of my bombs go.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, let me fuse with the arrow and just absolutely destroy this guy or this pack.
yeah. Um, I have with the fuse, which is one of the
The new arm abilities.
abilities. We don't have the Sheikah Slate, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Then they were called root. I don't know what these are called, but abilities. Yeah, when you main, you got ascend, which is the being able to, as long as it's not too far high above you, you can go through the top of anything. So yeah, you go into like there's a lot of wells and caves. You go through that, buildings to help climb up a bit. So that one's pretty useful for trying to, and then like you can choose to not go out. So I've seen clips where people have like gone up and then seen a Gleok and then been like, nope.
Nope. Yeah, yeah. Let me bounce back down.
Mm,
This ability to me is so fun. It honestly, it feels like you're just breaking the game. Like, oh, I'm in this cave, but I don't want to be here anymore. I'm just gonna jump right out of here. Like, all right, see ya. And then like, of course, right, they work it into different puzzles that you'll sort of be encountering in the shrines. And then even like some like of the watchtowers, right? Because like the first tower you go to, sort of like you just go up to the door and it's like,
yeah,
yep, you're good to go. And then sort of as you explore, some of the other ones have different, again, not going to get into spoiler territory, but essentially little puzzles wrapped up in different scenarios that are going on while you can't get there.
yeah.
So I really enjoyed those. I like going there and then finding like, hey, there's a little
I thought
problem.
it was really funny because there's one where like yeah you got to use ascend and I think it's pretty obvious, right? But there
Mhm.
was like a guide for it and people being like saying, oh, I got totally stuck because this one guy said something about mushrooms, and it's like, yes, because he's hinting that you need to go under into the caves, not that you need them. But and I didn't really bother aside from like Tarrytown and stuff. I didn't bother with side quests much in Breath of the Wild. Whereas this, I'm like, I'm going all over the place, but I'm talking to everybody.
Yeah,
I'm picking
I
up the
just went.
information.
Yeah, I went to Hatno Village
Yeah,
recently. I just got there, and again, we're not going to be spoiler or anything. But yeah, I feel like in Breath of the Wild, I couldn't tell you, yeah, any side quest or anything. It was just sort of like, hey, explore shrines for divine beasts, Hyrule. Where here, like, I felt like when you got into Hatno Village, it's like you start talking and like, oh, there's some stuff going on, and then like you sort of encounter a little cutscene, and then that opens up a whole sort of bunch of different little side quests to do.
Yeah, because we've got side quests and side adventures where you like it's a whole big thing and you've got to do more. Like there's yeah, sort of my main thing. I sort of went like I had to go to Hatano Village for something to help with like a website thing. And then I just went and did all the towers, and then I was just all over the place because I'd be on the road and talking to stables, and I'm like, okay, well I better go to this newspaper thing everyone keeps telling me about because that's the start of like a big quest thing. So then I could actually do all the stuff that these stables have going on.
Oh, is that the one that was the stable that was converted to
A
like a?
newspaper, yeah,
Yep,
because
yep.
you got
I
to go
happened
there
to
first.
cross.
Because like you'll go into these stables and like everyone will be in their underpants, but you can't do any. You can't do anything about it till you like started the quest over in like the newspaper one, and then you can go fix all these whatever's happening at all these weird stables. So
It's funny because I happened to go to that. That was the first stable I went to, and it might have been, intentionally because right, essentially when you start the game,
yeah, they tell you to
um,
go that way.
yeah, you
I,
do
I
the
didn't.
sort of like the Great Plateau version of this game, yeah, and then they're like, hey, these are the 4 spots that are like big points. I would recommend going to this one. Uh, so I went that way, and I ran into that. So like I said, it probably was made sense, but it sounds like you went a different way.
Yeah, I guess I had to go to Hatane Village for something, and
Oh,
then
you
I
went. Oh, right off the bat, you went there.
yeah, and
Gotcha.
then
Okay.
I had a bunch of well, I did the like the quest that tells you to go into the depths the first time to get my camera and things like that. And I just went all over the place. I wanted all the towers to be honest. I'm not one of those people that plays for the pro hod. I need to see where I'm going.
Oh, it's
Um,
yeah. That's sort of been it. I haven't been like mainlining straight from tower to tower, but that has been pretty much my goal has been like get to this
plus
tower and just work your way around.
the Sky Island kind of helps because you got to you land for a Sky Island so you can get slightly closer to the next tower.
Yep, yep,
Like
yeah, and
less
just keep
climbing and
creeping that
stuff.
way.
How did it feel playing the tutorial section with no paraglide?
Yeah, it was weird, right? I went to one of the shrines and then I was like, I don't need. It's like I don't know how to go for like. I felt like an idiot. I
Yeah,
was like, what is going on
like
here?
I can climb down. Oh,
I don't like this at all. Yeah, but then it felt so good when you finally did get it, though.
yeah. That's like the one thing. It's like I hope everyone at least like once you land on the ground, at least go to that next point before you do whatever you want because you're gonna have a bad time without the paraglider.
Yeah, yeah. Power gliders. It's
And
oh, and honestly, the sound like when it's raining and you're got the power glider going, you hear like the rain smacking on it. So good.
so how did you feel when you finally landed in Hyrule? Did you feel like lost? Because I know some people said they felt disappointed because it didn't look different, and then other people were like, I'm getting lost. I can't. Nothing like lots of things don't look the same anymore.
I guess honestly for me, right? I played like probably most people played it when it first came out, and then I remember when the DLC came out, like the Master Quest one or whatever they call it, super hard one. I messed around with that for a very little bit. So honestly, it's been so long that like looking at the map now and like, oh, I could sort of remember like, yeah, Hatno was off to the eastern side of the map, and like the dueling peaks and like seeing things that I recognize, but yeah,
But and then I
it's
think like almost all the stables aren't in the same place anymore either.
yeah. See, for me,
There's a couple maybe,
I
but
wouldn't have been
like
able to tell you the difference.
I think
You know
there's
what I
maybe a
mean?
couple, but like a lot of them have moved because they're kind of buildings, but like they look sort of portable. So again, yeah, you have and shrines are in different spots aside from ones near towns because they're like the fast travel point basically. But yeah, I was definitely a
You're a
bit
little
lost,
lost. Yeah.
especially like I didn't really spend time in Central Hyrule because that tended to be covered in Guardians, so
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
not really
yeah.
familiar. That's one thing I want to do. I haven't gone back to the Great Plateau because I was trying to figure out how the hell do I get up there, and now I have rockets, so it's alright.
Yeah,
But
yeah, or that, or from the sky, I guess. If you could have landed somewhere. Yeah, so right, you'd mentioned the three layers before. Have right, so obviously you've got the level, then you got the sky stuff, and then you've got the underground stuff.
which was something
Um,
they didn't show or talk about at all. Like that was the big surprise. And from what I've heard, it's like the same size as the land because obviously it's right underneath it, right?
yeah, yeah,
But
because with
yeah,
the sky, right, it's not 1 to 1. Like there's just
no,
floating
it's a
things.
bunch of like the Great Sky Island. Just as far as I'm aware, the biggest. I've been in like a big orb. There've been like there was a few I went to where it was kind of a chain connected with some rails, and like I found an item that I had no idea what to do with it until after I'd done some story thing, and then I was like, oh, I can use it
Was
here.
it a bouncy thing?
No, no, but I didn't know how to use the bouncy things or that I
That
found
I
until a
felt like
shrine.
such an idiot. I had to look on YouTube for that one. I was like, I was like, I wanted to butt slam it so bad. Like, let me jump and just slam on this thing. And then I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot, dude. Like, I can't believe that. That happened to me in one of the shrines too, where it was like, I just couldn't figure it out. I was like, what is going on? Like, what am I missing? And then I looked online and it was like the easiest, most obvious thing ever.
Yeah.
And I just like,
Um.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. I was shocked to find like the zonai constructs in the like all through the layers. Like I thought they might just be exclusive to the sky, but then there are little encampments above, like on ground as well. And that's when I found one of those bounce things, and I just didn't know what I was doing because I hit it and bounced once, and then it wouldn't bounce. Like I thought, you just stand on like no, you've got to hit it because it's a device. But yeah, there's so many new gameplay things. We talk about Ascend. Fuse is the new weapon system because canonically, like you've been up in, I probably spent 2 weeks in the sky, but stuff happened, and now almost all the weapons are rotted except for the ones that are in like treasure chests and stuff. So they're all
Yes, and
rusty.
rusted, and yeah, how many rusted claymores could pop out of broken rocks? I don't know.
Yeah. um, and I don't know where the Octoroks are to send them off for polishing. So, uh, but so now fusion, like you, the enemies, everybody, you fuse things to things. So you make an extra long stick, you make a fire stick, you make like I make an axe and a hammer all the time. And then I've started using the horns because you go by fuse attack power. So all the bokoblins are wearing like these horns and stuff. And then once you kill them, you've got horns, and even their
Fire
fangs and stuff.
flower thing is really good too.
Yeah, I
That
used to fire flowers on the arrow. Like the arrows, always fire flowers
Mhm.
and stuff, fruits. But yeah, you
like
definitely
you said, honestly, for me, the combat, and it's funny because I guess I haven't really fused anything with my bow. I wonder. I mean, I guess it's you just do it with the arrows, not
you
really the
can't do
bow.
it with the bow. No, I
Um,
don't think so.
but
Um,
yeah, definitely, I feel more comfortable with the like you said, sort of the ranged combat,
yeah,
especially right when you're jumping through the air, you can still slow down and stuff. And then
mm,
yeah, with the fuse, being able to just attach a bomb onto your arrow,
yeah.
you can attach the
Um,
bat eyes, right, and then it makes like a homing arrow. So there's some really cool little interactions that you can get with different things, and I feel like that's almost half the fun, right? Is sort of exploring with different, like, what does this weird attachment
combinations.
do?
Yeah. I managed to make one weapon that has 60 damage.
Woo!
I'm pretty sure it's only good for one attack.
You save that one for Ganondorf.
Yeah, it's like the bokoblin arm with Gibdo bones,
mm.
and I
Double
think
bone.
the bone on top, like that only lasts for like one hit. For it, like it doesn't break. It doesn't break the whole weapon. It just breaks off the weapon, which is interesting.
You just got to
Um,
keep reattaching it, or just
yeah,
have like an endless
drop it.
supply.
Like wait a second, let me
Yeah.
no, don't pick it up when you. um, but yeah, that one's pretty fun. And then the recall, which is you can rewind physical objects like not any enemies or anything, which is very good to abuse with Ascend because you can hold no, sorry, you use multiple. You use Ultra Hand to move something because like you've got Fuse, which is just for the weapons, and then Ultra Hand is you combining regular objects that aren't weapons and that together, like so, logs, Koroks, the Zonai devices, which are all sorts of things like fans and rockets and batteries and you know. But yeah, you use Ultra Hand to lift something in the air for a bit, drop it, recoil so it's in the air, and then ascend, and then you're in the air for a second.
That's smart. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's how
funny.
you get out of a lot of puzzles.
It's funny because yeah, for me, right, that's the rewind or the time one is the power I've used the least. Um,
You
but
gotta
that
combine it.
makes sense. Yeah, like to use in conjunction with the ultra hand. Definitely, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to mess around with that. Yep.
But yeah, I do still miss the bums, but overall I do like the way you can combine all these abilities together. And then Ultra Hand's kind of like Magnesis was, except that it doesn't have to be metal. Although I do say trying to thwack people with things you're carrying doesn't really work as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
They
they
just
just,
they're like, whoa, what's going on?
or
And
like I
start
meant like
freaking out.
enemies, like they just sort of go like like you don't, it doesn't
Oh
have the
yeah.
same impact if you're trying to hit them with a box in the first game or something.
I was by a bunch of cows not too long ago, and like yeah, I picked something up and moved it, and like they were all going haywire. Like what the heck is this floating thing doing right now?
Yeah, but that's been pretty fun, and yeah, I definitely love the enemy variety. Like I said, there's one in the desert area that's new. I've been hanging out in the caves and wells a lot because that's also new. Because it's not just we've got sky islands, we've got the surface with all the changes, and the changes include caves and wells. And then sometimes you go in a well, and it's really big, and you're like, what the heck? And then you end up on the outside of a cave. So
Or there's a well and a well and a well and a well and
yeah, I
and
went
you're
to
like,
that one, and I was like, what is going on?
and I don't think this is really a spoiler. But have you met the person inside one of the wells?
Yeah, so she tells you
Okay,
how
yeah.
many. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it's too much of a spoiler. But yeah, you meet someone and they're trying to find every well in Hyrule. And the good thing is how you mentioned before, where you had to go to that one stable to get the thing going. This is good because it retroactively, if you had already visited 4 wells, they're like, "Oh, you've already visited 4. Show me where they are in the map." Boop 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 boop, and you get your reward kind of thing.
Hmm. One thing
So
I like about the caves is once you've fully explored the cave, there'll be a tick next to it to indicate that you've like gone in every room in the cave, basically.
I really do like those cave like it there's something fun about jumping down the well, landing in like a little plop of water and then just like going and searching the areas and this game just with all the exploration stuff,
Yeah,
right? I
it's
mean,
really fun seeing things on your own, and that's why I haven't looked up too much, other than times I wasn't like 100% sure how to use something. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm just supposed to use Ultra Hand or whatever. Like, okay, that's easy. Um, or stuff with the Great Fairies because
yeah, the Great Fairy stuff is weird. I've met one and I
yeah, I'm trying
forgot what she wanted me to do, but it was something that didn't seem like it was plausible in the near future or yeah, at the time I was like,
because I heard
whatever.
about one and it was saying, she wants to listen to music, but the music people are over here. So I'm like, okay, whenever I go there, I'll go there, and then I fix their problem. But now it's like I had to look up where the other one, like where another one was, uh, um, because you've got to unlock more than one to get the upgrade. It's better, and then so I just looked up where it was and went to it, and then it's like I want this thing, and I'm like ah.
Yeah, yeah, classic, yeah.
Um,
the old breadcrumb quests.
yeah. But I've been having a lot of fun doing most of the quests though, and like figuring out the most on my own, especially like the other ones in Hateno. And then it was like, I kind of already went there and was doing that thing, so that's fun.
Yeah, I've like I said, it's interesting and or at least in for me, my gameplay. I usually don't do crazy side quest or not crazy side. I don't do a crazy amount of side quests. And obviously earlier on in the game, the honeymoon phase, right? Like I'm more inclined to do them, and then
Yeah,
eventually I'll get to the point where I just want to beat it. But yeah, for right now, I've definitely like I said, I got to Hatno, and I've been like just did some of those quests, and like I just want to instead of moving on, I almost want to just keep on doing those.
Yeah.
Even though the desire to go find more shrines is always strong.
Yeah, I did. I think a fair bit. Like I've got a second stamina wheel, and then I've started working on hearts now that I've got enough run.
Well,
I
yeah, that's what I
found
was gonna ask you. Yeah, how you distribute it? Because I did that same thing. I did all stamina for so
like
now like you
5
start with
times.
just a ring. So
Yeah,
now I've got the outer ring, and that's where I'm at now.
yeah,
But yeah, I think I'm gonna start doing some hearts
yeah.
soon.
And then I found a lot of shrines. Well, sometimes I just gotta go back later because I can't think of the puzzle or whatever. But I found a bunch where they strip you naked, and then
Yep.
I'm like that gif of the little guy going in the door and then immediately walking back out. I'm like, nope. I know, like
Oh,
I didn't. I
really?
had like no hearts when I did that. So I'm gonna come back when I have like 20 hearts or something, and
I've
then I'll
done a
show
couple
you.
of those. I've got one extra heart from the temple I did, so
Yeah,
I'm at
they
5.
they give you one too, so that's good.
There was one of those, yeah, where they strip you down, and it was pretty tough. It was like a series. Actually, I really, really, really like this shrine, and so like I said, I'm not gonna go into detail, but essentially, you got to kill a bunch of enemies. And I got up to the last one, and I messed it. Like I knocked it off a ledge, and then I like had to go hit one more arrow, and it was all over. And then like I guess I popped out too much, and they shot me. And since I had no hearts, I just died in one shot. And I was like, oh, and I was like, okay, that wasn't too bad. And then of course I got like freaking cheap shotted like 4 other times, and then I was like, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. And then finally I
Yeah.
did it, and I was like, oh, that felt so good. But yeah, it probably would have been a piece of cake if I came back in like a couple hours or 20
Yeah.
hours after I had 10
I
more hearts.
I just kept finding them, and I was like, no.
Yeah, I really like now. Obviously, right, shrines are amazing. We always want to find shrines, but there are so many other things that I run into
Yeah.
like that
I I
just like
haven't
beam me with
seen
joy.
Addison for ages.
Is he the sign guy?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, but every time I see that guy, I'm like,
that's my number one
yes,
priority. Yeah.
yes, let's go. Yeah, the sign guy, right? He wants to support his candidate,
Yes.
by
That's a
putting up these signs throughout Hyrule, but for some silly reason, his sign is not. It's literally a pole with his sign hanging off it, so it doesn't have any stability. So you need to find materials in the area to essentially just like counteract the weight so that it stands straight, and then he can use a surplus of wood to nail it in place. And it's so funny. I'm like, why doesn't he just make like another leg? You know what I mean?
yeah.
But he's like, nope, nope, we're not going to do that. But it's so much fun. Every time I see that guy, I'm like super happy about it. And then
I
he gives
like
you a pretty
doing.
nice reward.
I think I'm more excited to do that than the Korok friend sending
Oh,
thing.
100%, 100%.
Like
Do
some
you
of it,
find it a little
sometimes I just drag them.
suspicious? Oh, just all the way over there.
But there's a couple where I spent ages trying to do it, and I'm like, I'll come back later when I have better Zono parts or something that I could
But
just
yeah,
drop
better
out myself.
materials.
Yeah.
I do find it a little suspicious that Addison, right? He gives you like 20 rupees, and then he gives you something else, and then he goes, I'll give you something from my personal stash, and it's always a bomb. And it's like, why does this guy have a personal stash of
He works
bombs?
in
You know what I mean?
construction.
I don't know, but or politics.
No, the
He's
Hudson
a bomber.
construction company.
You know what I'm also stoked to see too? I don't know how much you run into it. Is the militia?
I have not run into that, but I've seen bits of it, and like I know there's one place where you go to do something similar to that, which I'm kind of excited for that aspect of gameplay, like the sort of I don't know if
Oh,
they're like raids, but like I know there's like bits where you go in and there's a giant health bar instead of a boss, it's like enemy forces or something.
Yep.
So
Yeah, the militia is somewhat like that. Yeah. So and you just randomly run into them throughout the I've run into them I think 2 or 3 times now. So again, just one of those like, ooh, I'm excited to see this person like or this group of people. This is great. Like this is
yeah,
like it makes the exploration, which is already super fun, like even
especially
better.
because there's all sorts of crazy things going on at the different stables and stuff. You're just like, what? Um, but yeah, I ended up doing one story thing, because because not to go into the story specifics, but generally like there's the 4 main towns with the Zora and stuff like that, and there's just something weird going on with the nature around there. So like Gerudo there's a sandstorm. We can't like there's a sandstorm in part of the Gerudo just in the original, but like now it's like massive,
Yeah,
like it's
all
covering the town.
encompassing.
Yeah. So I went in there, did that story, did a bunch of the side quests and everything, because some of it you had to like wait till you'd done the story to finish the side quests, and I was just having fun just doing all of that. And yeah, now I've done that, like, and it's been a few blood moons. Now I've got like black Lizalfos everywhere, and I'm just like, they hurt. It hurts.
Yeah, this isn't fun. Yeah, I've had a couple blood moons. I'm trying to think. I like. Oh, that's right. All right. Well, it's sort of not anything to do with blood moons, but just one thing I really like too is just all of the little icons for. And I guess this was like in Breath of the Wild too, but like all like I love when you go to a new town and they've got all sorts of new vegetables and fruits and different cooking materials. And like the goat cheese. Oh, I just love going through there and looking at all the icons and then like thinking like, okay, how can I mix these all to make good food? And then like you actually look on the wall, right, in a lot of those
Yeah.
shops, and they actually have posters which show you like, hey, put these 3 ingredients and you're gonna get this shepherd's pie looking thing, you know. So like it still is a little annoying to do the cooking, right? Like, all right, got to go into the menu, got to grab like the materials and then like throw them into the pot, and then like it almost might have been, and I like that if I only have to cook 1 or 2 things, but like sometimes right after like, oh, I haven't cooked in a while, like let me just make like 10 different dishes or whatever, like it'd almost be better if you could just go through sort of like a menu, just like,
You
hey,
can.
let me click. Can you?
So if you go to an individual ingredient and then you search by recipe, anything you made before will be saved as a recipe. So then you
All
can
right
just
then.
like you can just click on 1 spicy pepper and then you don't need to grab 3 and put it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. That'll help a little bit for sure.
yeah.
Um,
So
but yeah, that's one of those things. Like, I don't in the beginning. I don't, or at the beginning in Breath of the Wild. I feel like I didn't really dive too much into like all that cooking stuff, unless if it was like, hey, I'm in a super cold
yeah,
area and I
I'm
need
like I'm
to
about to
get
go to just a
resistance or
story thing.
something.
I need. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like one of those, obviously would do. But I'm finding it more fun this time around, like I said, to go around and sort of collect the different vegetables and just sort of like,
Um,
what can I make?
I also know you can carry like 5 or so fairies at a time now, and I'm
I've
guessing
not
that's
gotten a fairy yet.
in the sky. There's like not fairy fountains, but there's like areas where it's a pool, like it's just a pool of water and stuff,
And fairies
and
floating around.
there'll be fairies around there. They don't seem to like I've helped a couple of fairies, and they don't seem to spawn fairies anymore, like the big ones. So they seem to be all up in the sky.
Hmm.
But
All
it looks
right,
like you can
good
hold
to know.
slightly more than previously. Because normally you catch 3 and none would appear, but now it's like almost 5-ish, which is good because sometimes you're just not expecting to get like jabbed and that's your entire health. And you're like, ah,
Yeah. Oh,
or
there it goes. Yeah. Especially
you
when you got 5 hearts.
you set a bomb arrow too close.
Oh, I've done that too many. Where like the enemy's coming at me, and I'm like, oh,
Actually, I
and
think
it's like everything in my bones are like, don't shoot this arrow with a bomb on a guy that's 5 feet away from you. Just
yeah,
don't do it. And I'm like pressing the up button, attaching the bomb, and firing it anyway. And then then all of a sudden
my
you got Ragdoll Link
my
floating down,
first death
falling down.
was like shooting at one of those wormy things with a bomb arrow, and then I fell off the sky island while I was burnt to a crisp. But I think after that it was so when you dive without the paraglider you need to land in water or you die. And I landed in water, but the water was too cold.
Survived the 1,000,000-foot drop, but then died of hypothermia.
Yeah. So
I've definitely died a few times. Like I tried to do a flying machine, I think, and I fell off. Like
yeah.
those flying machines, if you don't have the rail, is a big pain in the butt because it's like
Ah. Mm. You need
Or
to
is there
do
some sort of, oh, you just do
yeah,
this easy thing?
ultra hand and like hold it up in the air for a little bit, right?
Oh, and then recall.
And then put it back down, and then like stand on it, recall,
God, that's so smart.
and then stop the recall, and then
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
Meanwhile, I'm like trying to put it on the edge of the mountain and like not fall off and then jump onto it before it.
yeah.
Well, that
I know
definitely,
there's
yeah.
also like because you got to like there's the different gashapon machines, and you'll get different items from different ones. So there's like carts or whatever, so you can pop them in, and it's just like a little thing with wheels, so you can put the gliders and stuff like that on them too.
I love those the little machine.
Mm.
How fun, like
I
to
don't fight enough so now, guys.
yeah.
I will.
Whenever I find one, I'm like, oh, I better just do this like 4 or 5 times and just absolutely load up.
Yeah, I know. I've seen like people making drop ships and stuff with it.
I'm not creative at all. Like
No,
everyone's
but you
making these
can
super dope things.
if you follow like so there's a couple of quests you can do about going into the depths with Joshua. And if you follow that, that's when you'll get the ability to store creation ideas.
Mm.
It's like as long as you have either all the parts are like already on the ground or you have them in your inventory, then you
You
can
can just snap
recreate.
it together real quick.
Yeah. So like you have a personal history of the last few things you make, and then you can unlock schematics.
Ooh, okay, that's all. That's cool. I need to go. Yeah, because
So
you'd
for
mentioned the.
the people who are challenged by that, and there's bits where you feel like you might need to use it, then you'll get it, like pre-built or pre-built plans. So it's not as hard.
No, that's good.
And I
Yeah,
feel
because
like because of the clips, people are like over. I know it's definitely part of like some puzzles you have to and things like that. But so far, most of what I've played, aside from getting from Sky Islands, you really don't need to touch that stuff too much. And some people are like, oh, I don't like all the weird building and wacky stuff, and it's like you don't really have to. Like it's like I said, some puzzles, getting to some places, but overall, it's not a mess. Like you don't need to make these weird laser contraptions.
yeah,
Yeah,
to get the game.
no,
It's funny too because just thinking about some of like those, yeah, some of those creations and being like, I'm so creatively challenged some of the
there's
times, like to do that, like, and that's why even some of the shrines, right, where it's like they usually give you a hint on sort of like what the objective is going to be. So like sometimes I swear that just throws me off completely because it'd be like I'll go in there and I'll like reading the title will expect one thing and then like try to do that and just fail miserably. But it is funny because you can totally sort of just cheese it too. There was one shrine I went into and like I totally saw it. I 100% what they wanted everything to be done. Like I saw exactly how it was supposed to be. And I was like, but wait a second. Like it was one of those ones where you got to get the ball just into like the hole, right? But
yeah,
like you got to make a contraption to get the ball where I was like, wait, can I just attach this to this wall here, go up the ladder and grab it again, and then just put it in manually? And it was like, oh, yep, I
yeah.
can absolutely do that. So
um,
it's nice that they it's an open sandbox, right? And it's like they're not above letting you just cheese it too.
um, there's one shrine that's like literally Jenga, except you don't put the pieces back on, or maybe you're supposed to, but I did. But I just ended up recalling the piece I needed so that it wouldn't fall, and then I couldn't grab it. So
Give me that.
yeah, didn't do the treasure chest thing though. That was too much work. So some of them, and then sometimes the inventory is full for whatever it is you don't know. But,
Honestly, I feel like most of the time with the shrines that have the treasure chests, they're just not usually worth the extra effort.
there was like there was actually a bit where like I was like, I need to get bows, and then suddenly it was like I had too many, and it like so it's like places I got to go back to because it was like one side of the map, the Sky Islands, it was like really strong bows, and I was just like, oh, I need to come back here when.
I love that when you're like, oh, I've got all like 4, 7, 11 damage bows, and then all of a sudden you get like a 24, and you're like, all right, let's
Yeah,
go, let's go. It really does, like, and especially with how weapons break, as we were talking about fusing before, sort of, which is nice, right? Because you have a weapon that's about to break. If you fuse it with something, it's not about to break anymore. So sort of get the length out of some of your weapons a little longer. But the
yeah,
way the combat is with everything just getting destroyed way too often, it's a little annoying. But it does make when you find that really strong item that isn't just a bokoblin arm, that is going to break in
Yeah.
one or two shots. It,
Well,
it
that's
makes you
what
go like, oh baby, let's go.
because I didn't mess with the fusion too much, and I was just sort of like, very slowly hacking through the health, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna go do a story thing, so I fused a bunch of items, and then it was like damage, like
Yeah, sorry. Oh,
wailing.
they were planning they planned this game around you using this ability actually
Yeah.
quite a bit. But yeah, it
I was just
definitely
saving it.
does. You know, anyone that's playing this game, that it actually clicks with you, right? And you're playing it, you're going to spend a lot of time going through the game. So I've definitely felt even over, my time, which like I said, I've only done one quote unquote temple. And like I said, I haven't even really gone into the
Yeah.
depths at all. I haven't done that
I'm
much. And like you'd already just sort of naturally feel as things like you said, I wasn't using fuse a lot. Now I'm using it a lot. I wasn't using the recall. And now that you've
yeah.
shed some light on actually how to properly use it, I'm going to start using that more, So
um
it feels nice to like unlock more abilities and just not even necessarily unlock them further, just like unlock the knowledge
no,
on how to
yeah.
properly use them.
And that you can use them together as well is really important. Um and yeah, like I hadn't gone to the depths since like the basic quest where you like go the tiniest bit, right? And then I went
I didn't
back.
even
I'm
get a
like,
quest to go down there yet. I jumped in a hole
just
once
just talk to like the Robbie and Joshua and Lookout Landing.
because that's for the camera, right?
That's for
Because I've
camera.
got
And then
because I've got
after
a
you
quest
do
to go pick that up. Yeah.
and then after you do the story, then she had another quest, and I was like, okay. So I guess some quests unlock as you progress the story. Which there's one that I'm not gonna say, but because I know about it, I'm gonna go and like do some grinding on something because I know something's gonna be a lot harder to do if I start making too much progress. So,
Yep.
because like some character moves around, so it's like I'm not ready for that yet. Um, but I did up the night before. I went back to the depths, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do like half an hour, or you've got the light route, so it's like okay, I'll just go find one or two, and then I ended up playing like a whole hour, doing a whole big thing. So, because I'd been in the caves in the well so much, I had like 80 big seeds and like 300 little light seeds. So
You were
really,
prepped.
it was a matter of not having enough arrows, really.
Yeah. And
And
arrows are expensive if you buy them.
yeah, I mostly smack all the boxes I can find and all the pots and stuff.
Box that or like sometimes like if like you sort of almost bait an enemy, like
Yeah.
like I'll let him shoot at me, hide behind this box, and then I'll just go pick up his arrow. I'll let him do that till he runs out. But yeah, for me, the first time I went into the depths was honestly like probably like the first hour I played, or within the first hour of after you get down to Hyrule, and I was like, oh, what's that? And I sort of jumped in there, and I was like, oh man, this is really deep, and I was like, oh boy, and then it was dark, and I was like, oh man, I feel like I should absolutely not be here yet. And then I think, what happened was like I was creeping around, and I saw, like a city, or it looked like a little town almost lit up in the darkness. I was like, ooh, that looks friendly. And then I went over there and it wasn't really too friendly at all. And then I think I was like, all right, I'm ready to go back up.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. And then when I was in the depth, I forgot about the trees on the land and that there are bad trees down too. So
That is a great enemy. The bad tree.
I saw one post where it was like, I'm not going down to the depths. I've seen the demons the Bible has warned us about them. But yeah, I found some, like, I don't want to say what, but I found some like cool little things in there where I was like, oh, I don't want to go in that. And I'm like, oh, that's actually good or interesting. And then I'd be like, I've been on for ages and I couldn't find a light route. And then it's like, and then I finally get up high and I'm like, it's because it's behind a big giant rock. That's why I can't see it, because it's blocked behind the giant. and it's dark, so you can't tell. Like it's not like the towers where you can see them for ages.
Oh, I love those towers.
Yeah.
They're so illuminated.
Plus, they're
And
way more
I
fun because they literally shoot you up into the sky.
I was gonna say I love, right, like all of a sudden the little hands come out, the guardian hands, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, and it's like, oh, they're just plugging you in, making sure you're strapped and good to go. Um, yeah,
That was one thing I think a lot of people had a problem with was that a lot of characters will know who Link is because like main story characters, but then regular guys you would have talked to like Beetle and like other stuff, they won't know you. Or they'll be
yeah,
like, oh, you're like, or like I did some questions like, oh, you've got the same name as Zelda Swordsman, and it's like,
yeah.
yes.
Hello.
There was, I think I'll try to find it, but that and like so far, like we haven't done the whole story, but there's not really like there's sort of Sheikah technology because there's like the towers and the Puro pad, but like where did the Guardians go? Because you clearly didn't bury them underground. Where did the Divine Beasts go? Like
Yeah,
you gotta tell me where they went. They're not tiny. They gotta go on somewhere. I,
I wonder if that'll be something that'll be, as we keep going further.
I
Um,
hope so, but I don't know.
I think we could. I believe. I believe. Well, I guess with the tiers, right, of the kingdom, like it's funny. I've been thinking about this game, and it's like it almost feels just like a big old collectathon, right? Like the old days,
Yeah,
like oh, get your Korok seeds, get your shrines, you get your, you get your wells. Make sure you're doing this, you're collecting that, and you know, again with the tiers, right? They sort of look like crop circles, right? Is it that's what they're called, right? Crop
yeah,
circles?
the
Like the alien things?
geoglyphs or something. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so it almost looks like that, and I think there's 11 of them, I believe.
I'm not sure.
S
I remember someone saying like, because again, it's got that because like I think you can kind of figure out what happens if you watch some of the trailers, but like won't say why, but like you get some more flashback type story because you've got the story that you're going through, and then like another story. And people you can do them out of order, and then some people are going, "Oh, I can't believe people do it out of order. If you just go here where this character told you," and I'm like, "Well, what if somebody didn't talk to that character? Then like that
yeah, they wouldn't know any
the one
better.
that starts that quest isn't even in the same like spot as the starting where it tells you to go to. So you could quite easily just be going wherever the heck you wanted, and then
Yeah.
like one of the ones I found first and actually knew what to do with it. Well, not knew, but just sort of stepped in the right spot. I'm pretty sure that was like the second last one or something. Like,
Well,
by
the good thing is,
context.
right, it gets saved right into your like in the menu. You can go
Yeah,
view the cutscenes that you've seen at any time. So it is nice. Yeah, at one point you'll be able to. I don't know if they're listed in order or if like, I'm sure they probably are, but you'll be able
yeah,
to play it, begin the end. But I really like those. Right, it gives really good context and some backgrounds of what's going on. You see a bunch of different characters, which is really cool,
yeah.
and I like how they connect as well. So it's one of those things like, again, I guess for me right now, my whenever I play, my strategy has just been pretty much like, okay, I'm gonna go find the closest tower, and then like do that. Then yeah, if I could land on some sky stuff, check that out. If not, I'm gonna jump down and then just try and find a shrine and just keep going there. And it's funny, like that's you totally get lost in Breath of the Wild, right? Originally, and it's definitely I'm getting that same exact feeling of like, hey, I'm gonna go do this, and then you go do a bunch of different things, and I've been taking it slow. I haven't been rushing to the temples at all. Like I said, I went and did the one relatively quick because I wanted to see what it was all about. So like now, like I said, now I'm in Hatno Village. I'm going to be doing some of those side quests, and it just I've sort of wrapped my head around like, hey, I'm in no rush here. I'm enjoying the game. Like, let's just sort of go, which
I've
is
had some
maybe
things where
not
I've
the
like,
greatest strategy
I
with
don't know.
Diablo and
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 16 on the realm, but yeah, we'll see.
I've like found some things that's just going around, and then I'm like, I'll come back to that later. And then later I find the quest that wants me to go there. I'm like, okay, now I'll go there.
Perfect. Yeah,
Because it was
perfect.
like, ah, I'm gonna go see the like labs that are empty at the moment, and then it's like there are trespassers there, and I'm like, I don't want to fight these guys. I'm like, I don't
Yeah, maybe
have
another
enough
time.
health, right? But now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get you guys. Like now that I'm gonna get a reward for it, I'm coming.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. Yeah.
Um, what do you think of the economy? Rupees
Um.
and all those other things.
Yeah.
Do you
I
feel
mean, I get.
poor?
What was that?
Do you feel poor in this
I
game?
do. For the most part, right? Yeah. In the very beginning, although if you don't use and like the some of the materials you find from the ore, like the
Yeah,
topazes, right, and like the diamonds and stuff, they sell for quite a bit. Now, I know you can attach those to weapons and like. I think if you attach a ruby to like some sort of whatever, it makes sort of like a fire rod almost.
yeah.
Um, and
And
those are
then I
strong and
think
nice to have.
and then
But
you got
I've
to
been
pay
selling them.
attention to what you pick up because like I did that just for a quest because someone wanted to see one, right? I mostly ignored it, but like then I picked up a thing and it says if you attach it to ores, then it's more powerful than if you just made one of those with just a regular stick. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
I've honestly though I've usually sell those. It's
yeah,
like because you could get
same.
like 100, and it's like, oh, that's a lot of rupees right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's what I was. I did a little tiny side quest, and then I got given 20 rupees, and someone's like, "It's Robbie's spending allowance for next month," and I'm like, "Robbie is poor. That's the
yeah.
cost of one drink in Gerudo Town."
I would say
You know,
you can get
Addison
a 5
Addison
arrows,
gives
I
you
think, for
20
that.
rupees per sign putting up. Like,
Oh yeah, he's goat man. He gives you 20 rupees, a bomb, and a meal. That guy,
I'm
he's the goat. I love that guy.
yeah. I'm like, he is poor. Okay, yeah. I was gonna double check something. No, that's Robbie has a wife, and that's the you know, it's the thing where it's the woman gets all the money and then gives the husband an allowance, but his allowance is like, oh my god, they have a kid.
there was
Oh my god.
I haven't really bought too much armor or anything, to be honest. Um, I forgot the one town I went into, and they were like, "There's some sort of stipulation they had to raise the prices." So it was like everything was like 5,000. That might
But
have
yeah,
been Kakariko
yeah,
Village.
the
Yeah,
quest for that is like you literally just sort of like keep going around the back way, and then you'll see someone who like sort of tells you what you need to do. Kind of.
gotcha. Yeah, I honestly, I just
It's got to explore the village a bit more.
Kakariko is one of those things where I was like, I don't actually really want to be in a town right now. I want to just go out and find
Yeah.
shrines.
Well,
So
they
like
don't
I didn't
even
really
let you
do
go to
much.
the really cool thing. They keep telling you off. And I was trying to go around the sideways, and it was like, cut it out. And I'm like,
Son of a gun.
but yeah.
But yeah, I overall though, like I mean, I've definitely when I first started playing it, I had the feeling like I was like, oh, this is more Breath of the Wild, and not I say that it sounds disparagingly, but like just one of those like, oh, this is fun, I'm liking it, but like it's just more Zelda in a style that isn't necessarily my favorite kind of game. Uh, but as I've been playing more of it, I am now in the point where it's like I'm at work and I'm thinking about it, where I'm like, oh, I want to go, do this, that, and that. But
Mm,
there's not enough time of the day, dang it. So it's definitely gotten the grips to me. And like my initial thought is that it's like Tears of the Kingdom feels like a better game than Breath of the Wild,
it is.
but it just will never like Breath of the Wild just had that like, oh, I'm gonna punch in the head with like how amazingly different this is, right? Like Tears of the Kingdom could never do that again, but it feels like a better game, at least 20-ish hours in almost.
Mm. Well, it's they did the first game, and now they can make changes accordingly.
Yeah, right, it was such like the physics in the game and the abilities and everything, like it's and the size of the world and like it all comes together. Like, yeah, there's no way they couldn't make another game within this framework, right? Like
Mm,
they'd put too much work and it was
mm.
too good to not be like, let's do more in this.
Yeah, especially like the chemistry system. Like I've been using a lot of pine cones.
Oh my, yeah, I forgot the one guy was like, don't put the giant pine cones in the fire. He was like, it was bad news.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm actually like talking to characters and stuff now. So it's like you just do whatever you want, and then if you get a bit sick of it, you go do some main story. Like
Yeah, yeah, it
actually
really
help
is.
help the big
Hmm.
problems, not all the little problems with inter-village politics.
Yeah, but it is so much fun to just get lost in the small things, right? Like, and I guess right, that's the idea of an open world and all this is to just get lost and do it.
Mm.
So I mean,
But
they
it's
definitely
definitely like a lot more
achieved the goal.
populated, like even just enemy wise. Like you go by the road and there's all these like encampments and stuff. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, going into Hatno Village, just seeing. I love the fashion wear is so good.
I'm
I
mad
just
that you
absolutely love it.
can't get the outfits that everyone's wearing, like the mushroom
Yeah, oh, the
outfits.
little hats.
Yeah, I want the whole set. I'm
Well, you
dressed.
got your your paraglider done up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. Yep, yep.
because like that's you can get paraglider fabrics from different quests and stuff, but also the amiibos do like occasionally. Like I had to like do one several times, like change the date 7 times to get, like, cause I was trying to get a picture of it for something until it found
Is
fabric.
i- is it just the Zelda amiibo or
Yeah,
like?
it would just so like Majora's Mask would be Majora's Mask looking. I know the Pixel
Ooh,
Link gives you like a little Pixel Link, things like
I've
that, and
got the
then
Majora's Mask link. Paige,
my
I've got him. He's in my
my
hand.
I've got the Goddess fabric one from Skyward Sword. So
I don't. I've
what's the
sold a bunch of
most.
my amiibo, but I know for a fact. Like I said, I've got the
Well, one good thing
link
is
here.
like the paraglider is mainly the most exclusive thing because now all the stuff that was amiibo gear in the last game you can actually find in the world.
In the okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
so all those
Yeah,
outfits you can
yeah.
find.
Ooh, so the
That's
Majora's Mask. I get a Majora's Mask paraglider.
yeah.
Oh
Um,
my
but
good
it's like
lord!
it's not necessarily like every time like you can do it once a day and just necessarily drop it the first time. So like
But I could cheat like you did, right?
yeah, can just like close the game, change the date in the system, and go again.
Oh
Um,
man! All right, yep.
what's
I'm gonna
really
have to do that.
disappointing to me is that the Wolf Link amiibo does not work the same anymore.
What was the?
You would
Was it
have
actually a wolf?
you would have Wolf Link follow you around as a little companion in Breath of the Wild. And if you'd played Twilight Princess HD on your Wii U and done the new cave thing, however many hearts you had at the end was how many hearts Wolf Link in your game would have.
Okay,
So
that's
I can
cool.
think of 3 reasons I don't have it in this game because you've got the sky, the depths, you've got um, some other stuff, but I'm still disappointed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the real thing, can you get the Switch shirt? Can you find that in the wild?
No, I haven't seen that. I thought they should have done a Wii U shirt. That would have been funny because, like,
Yeah,
when you had
even
Breath of the
better.
Wild on the Wii U and you had the DLC, and then you could wear a Switch shirt. So I was like, it should be the other way around. Not all of the armor sets are in here because I think most people said like the Gerudo girl outfit is not in this one, which is pretty disappointing.
Oh, the cross-dressing one.
Yeah. Um.
Too bad
Mo-
he looked good in it.
yeah. Most are, but not all. So yeah, fashion hunting is also very important. And then that's
Well,
even a whole side quest actually, is like the Misco treasure, and you get like X's on your map.
honestly, there's just so much,
Yeah.
which is awesome because it's definitely a good world to get lost in.
Yeah.
I still can't believe David didn't get it. What a monster!
Yeah, he's too busy printing out fake covers for his Steam games, I guess.
Well, I did just see him log on to Live Alive.
Oh yeah, he's been playing a good game now. Now
I'm
that it's not
surprised
on
I feel
Switch.
like he hasn't. I'm surprised he hasn't beaten that yet.
Yeah, it's only like
I would say it's only
20
like 20
something.
hours, is right? Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit longer if like you go crazy in the final chapter and try to do everything, but
Hmm.
roughly 20 hours, yeah. But we'll probably leave it for now because we have to get back to playing the game, obviously.
Yeah, I've got like after this, I
Yeah.
could go to bed or I could try and sneak. I was
Just
like,
a
well, I
little bit.
definitely got to scan in my amiibo before I go to bed.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a no
Before the
doubt
day
about
clock's
it.
over.
So,
But yeah, if you're interested in what David's been up to, we have the Thirsty Mage Twitter. And you can go on the thirstymage.com to find our Discord because there's a lot of people talking about Live Alive, Tis the Kingdom. Like, we have different channels for that. And I think he started uploading episodes to YouTube now too. Like, there's not any visuals, but if you prefer to use that, you can catch
yeah, I
us
think
there.
he's been doing some shorts or
Yeah, he's
shorter
been doing
stuff
a
too.
lot of
I
that
know.
too.
Yeah, we did a Townsman VR talk the other day. So yeah, I know he's been dabbling a little bit more with the tube.
Mm. But thanks for joining us, and I don't know what's next at all. I think we've had a couple of gaps, and then sometimes I've not known what's happening, and then there's been like, oh, such and such re-recorded a podcast together, and I'm like, oh,
Cool. Yeah.
You're just making things, not behind my back, because it's not. But, it's like,
don't tell Paige.
Yeah, but in private DMs instead of in the regular chats, I've got no idea.
yeah, they're being sneaky about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll probably be back for this at some point, probably to do a whole spoiler cast or something.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll
Eventually.
be one where we, spoilery, and we'll get Jordan involved too, because we know he's been playing.
We'll grab
so
him. We'll make sure.
And we'll see if David ever cracks. I think he just doesn't. He's done with Nintendo. He doesn't play Nintendo anymore.
Yeah, I know. Shame.
He's a Steam boy now.
Mm. Oh well. I don't know how to say goodbye, Naeves.
Adios.
I'll just stop it right here.